So Jordan, Neil talked about trying to get more, rotation in your defensive line, trying to use your depth more. Hard to do when you're playing against a team with tempo, and how do you go about making sure that you get some breaks for the first team guys?
Yeah, you've got to. That's why they do it, to get you in that situation. What you've got to do is be able to see that not necessarily a team like Texas Tech, their personnel substitution, you got to see them sub receiver for receiver, which is something on the that you're not told that it's you go from one personnel to the next. You just have to be told that there's a sub, and you got to be ready for that, and that happens fast. And so you're not necessarily you're thinking about the next call, where if it went to a different personnel, you would definitely be looking at another call, and you would know that because it would come over the headset as a different number than what you're seeing in that set of downs or that series, whatever it is. So we got to do better. I have to do a better job of being ready for that and being able to get guys in. Now, Saturday we get a different set of guys rotated in, and we have a couple of mental letdowns, and which is again it's on me. It's not, but so it's also a trust factor in the guys that you're planning on rolling in and how they're performing at that time during that day. So, but we've got to be a little more ready for that tempo.
We'll go to John.
Coach, just curious, is this maybe a team that coaches appreciate just the way they go about and do things, whether it's hidden yards or how they just the way they play defense, the way they play offense, special teams? Is this one of those teams that coaches really appreciate?
You're talking about our team or Kansas State?
What you're facing, the way they go about, the way they do things.
You're talking about Kansas State, right?
Right.
Oh
right.
yeah, I mean it's they don't do anything hardly ever to beat themselves. If you have a weakness, they usually find it. They get it week to week by formation adjustment, motion, whatever it may be, and that's and they're simple and they're subtle and that's a sign of a good football team. And they huddle, which is something new, and they line up and play football. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it's you appreciate a team like this when you see it.
Well, I was going to say, not a lot of tempo too, so that's a different deal than what you dealt with last weekend, right?
Right. I mean, I think they did a little bit to Kansas. Why, I really don't know, other than maybe they had something they wanted to do, but it's not like within a 8-second, 10-second window that they're trying to snap the ball. It's a little faster than what they normally were, but it's not like we just played.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Jordan. Neil talked a little bit about you're kind of doing bandit by committee this season. And even with Van Darius out, just looking at the stats, it seems like you're getting pretty good production from that area. I was just wondering what you're seeing out of Bartlett and Tonkery.
Yeah, they are a lot of defensively up front. The design of a lot of what we do kind of pushes the ball toward that guy a lot of times, and that is by design, no matter who it is. It's just that's kind of how we try to use that guy sometimes, and so they're doing a really good job. Both of those guys that you mentioned, I think the biggest thing for them and the reasons why outside of or more important than schematically is their effort. Those two guys do exactly what you ask them to do, and they do it as hard as they can. Are they always right? No, but they play extremely hard. And as what other coaches that we talk to, that's one thing they say, particularly Bartlett, is, man, that kid plays hard, and he does, and that's where a lot of that production comes from.
Back to John.
Another question here about Kansas State. I didn't get this from Neil. How much do they use big personnel? And the other thing here that jumps out is the Howard kid's 230 pounds. He's a pretty big kid. Is that a concern, making sure when you get to him that you get him to the ground because he is so big?
Their big sets, I mean, they have a few that they go to in situations, but the base of their offense is a little bit bigger sets than what we normally face. You know, they're going to base in some fullback, tight end, two tight end, stuff like that, and they're going to get back to what they would get to in non-big sets. So it's that's part of the adjusting and seeing what they're doing. He's a big kid, and you always have to be aware of that going in. That if you get to him, that you're able to get him down. He's a good runner too. I mean, he elusively, or kind of, sometimes on film is mistakenly kind of sneaky fast a little bit. Watch the TCU game. He gets out a couple times. But he is a big kid, 230 pounds. Got to get him down.
Go ahead, Cody.
So how do you kind of prep for a player like Deuce Vaughn? Just in all the different ways they use him and all the different things he can do well. What can you do preparation-wise to get ready for that?
Well, I mean, they use him in a matchup situation, so you have to make sure that you have to match up correctly. Whether that's, it's really by the defensive call, but it's where you put your pieces has got to match where they put their pieces, and they do that for a reason. They can hide him. He's small. He's extremely fast. He's extremely elusive, and then outside of that, he's got to tackle him. I mean, finding him's one thing, but when you do find him and he gets the ball, the day one fundamental is really the only thing that's important.
Mike Kazaza.
Jordan, how are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Oh, great, thanks. Their red zone productivity is fairly incredible across 2 seasons now, too. Curious what you see as far as what's effective down there, and has it at all changed with Howard triggering it down there as opposed to Thompson?
To me, no. They have an area of the field they really like to, they like to score. Each team has really a kind of a score zone outside of the goal line that they always have a set of plays that they go to, and they're extremely effective and efficient with theirs, probably more than any team we've faced up to this point. So that's an area that we're going to have to be. We've talked about in the off season coming off of last year that we've had to improve on, but we're going to have to be really good against this team.
Kevin Kinder.
Jordan, you've talked about in the past having backup plans for when a player or two aren't available. Is it more difficult to adjust to that on the fly, though, when you have 2 or 3 guys that go out really quickly? I mean, you had Tony Fields obviously DQ'd, and then Josh was out for a play or two, and then I think it was Dante, hobbling around for a while. Your numbers were down. Does it take a little bit to rethink and say, okay, now what are we going to do with all these movements we've made?
No, not at the time. You just have to go. You have to go back to what you have invested time in. That's all. That's what you have to do. Because every kid on our defense that's gotten reps through on normal summer or shortened summer like this one and fall camp, is you have to go. You have to go to what you have invested reps in, and try to get through the play, the series, the quarter, the game if you have to. But that's what you have to do. You don't have to make wholesale changes. You just have to. And if there's something that matches what you're doing that week, close to it, then you kind of stick with it and talk it through on the sidelines. But you don't have to make major changes.
And back to John.
Yeah, hitting on Vaughn again, averaging 28 yards a catch. I think he's your most explosive receiver in addition to the running. I guess Fields is out for the first half, correct?
No, I don't think so. I think if that happened in the, I don't know exactly the wording of the rule, but I think
He's your best man coverage guy, right? As a linebacker, he's pretty good in man coverage. So there's some concerns there with Vaughn in the passing game, in the way they can use him in different ways, and the fact that he's so little. Go through that a little bit.
Well, it's like I said earlier, they can hide him, and off of motions and shifts and where they can get a guy's your guy's eyes to focus on. Now, is it 100% going to be on Vaughn based on first down plays versus third down plays? It could be, it could not be. We don't really know that yet, but and sometimes in like our base stuff it would be, and sometimes it wouldn't be. It's zone versus man, and so to where you can hide him, that's good. But it's also, if you match your zone up correctly, he can end up on the safety or the corner. It just depends on what it is that you have to get those pieces in the correct spot to know that to give yourself the best chance to cover a guy like that. We obviously not wouldn't try to do that any other way. But it makes it hard, and they do a really good job with that kid of getting him hid in the formation and getting him the ball and trying to create matchups. And they've done that in every game, and they'll try to do it to us.
From obviously you're studying the tape. They screen game? Do they use him in wheel routes? Do they bring him down the field? Do they do a lot of different things with him?
All of the above.
Okay.
Okay, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.